Welcome back. Artificial intelligence has transformed many aspects of day-to-day life. Most companies have adapted to some degree already, optimizing services and processes for employees and clients. But there are still some misconceptions about artificial intelligence and its role in the workplace. To discuss this further, we're joined by innovation expert Dean Furman. Dean, thanks so much for coming into studio this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Dean, there's still a fair amount of concern that ChatGPT and AI in general are going to make some jobs redundant. But as ChatGPT becomes more and more mainstream, we keep hearing that humans are still very much a required part of that equation to make sure that we fact check and to optimize and to integrate AI into the experience. How do you think ChatGPT is going to revolutionize or disrupt the workplace, and are people's jobs in jeopardy?
I think it's a really good question. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't getting the true answer because the true answer isn't actually the easiest answer to handle. So a lot of companies, when you actually go and speak to the people, they actually ask you, just don't frighten anyone. Don't, make anyone scared. And it's very true. But I'm a big believer in you've got to get people to actually understand what the reality is, because when they understand the reality, they can do something about it. So is it going to disrupt a lot of jobs? Yes, it is going to disrupt a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs have already been disrupted. People have lost big contracts because now ChatGPT can just do it. I know a lot of my clients talking about getting rid of their marketing agency because they're like, okay, what do we need it? Most of it can be done with AI. A lot's going to be moving. The good news is for those who decide to become lifelong learners and interested and to learn more and adapt, those people are going to thrive like never before in this age. So I think the message maybe to your listeners would be that, yes, it's a time a lot of people are going to be disrupted, but this is your message now to take that time and invest in yourself, that you are future-proof and that you're not one of those people that it will happen to.
So how does the workplace need to change to better absorb the innovation that ChatGPT and AI brings? Because a lot of people sort of push back against it, or they delve only so deep, and you've really got to optimize how you use ChatGPT before it becomes a tool that enables you to really open up that scope of what it can do for you.
Definitely. So the first time you go onto ChatGPT, so I know when we do a lot of the courses on ChatGPT, we have a lot of people that, when asked, have you used it before? They'll say, yeah, but it was good, but it was impressive, but it wasn't good enough to be useful. And that's actually why we train them, because to go from answers that are 5 out of 10 to answers that are 10 out of 10. But once you know how to use it, and it's not hard to learn how to use it, that's why it's just so accessible. Anyone could use it in their day-to-day job. Once you take the time to learn how it works properly, it can literally do a fortune of your work for you. I know so many people now, including myself, who save hours and hours and hours a week already because of the work that ChatGPT is doing for them. And there's a lot of talk about, oh, sometimes it's not accurate and sometimes there's letdown. But you got this, imagine if you got told you got a human assistant. And you know what? 90% of the time it does stuff for you perfectly and can do all your work for you. And just know once or twice you need to fact check it, because not everything that comes is 100% true that comes from it. You'll be like, oh no, we're not using that human to help us. No, you would jump at the opportunity, and now it's a massive opportunity. You can go to openai.com and for free sign up to ChatGPT, and you've got this personal assistant that can help you with almost every element of your work. It does take a little bit of guidance if you're not that type of individual who's used to it, to know how to get to the 10 out of 10 answers and use it for so many different use cases. But it's my message is just embrace it.
Yeah. Dean, transparency becomes important because there's a couple of scenarios. In one instance, clients might say to a marketing agency, well, hang on, we know that you do this work so much quicker now. We're not going to pay you, we're only going to pay you 10% of what you're actually charging us. In other instances, employees, they might feel hesitant to admit that they're using ChatGPT if that hasn't been embraced by the management team. So where are the boundaries of transparency moving towards?
I think that it's not as big as you would think it is, because now if you do work for someone, do you say, oh, by the way, I'm producing this work for you, but at this point in time in my work, I had to Google a few things? Like, you wouldn't do that. Like, that's the thing. And same as ChatGPT, you hired, if you're an employee, let's deal with employees. If you're hired by people at work, it's not university. University, you tested on what you know, what you don't know. At work, you tested what you can produce. In fact, people might think that, oh, you're being irresponsible using this tool that can do your work for you. No, you're being irresponsible if you don't do it. If I was a manager, I would be like, no, if I find out you're not using these type of tools, then then I'm going to be annoyed. Yeah. But it's all a culture thing. And I've seen such varied reactions from companies around town. Some from automatically blocking it and say, no, people won't learn anything if they use this tool. Some have literally blocked it for that reason. Others have embraced it and sent the message big time of, you need to use it, but here are the parameters of how we want to use it, and we want to embed it into our culture. And I know who I'm betting on to really succeed going into the future.
Do you know there are any grey areas or areas of concern? Because I know a lot of people have said, but hang on, we don't really know how far this thing can go, what the depths are. We're still figuring out how best to use it. Is anything about ChatGPT or AI worrying to you?
No, not really. The thing that with ChatGPT specifically, what I tell my clients is when you're inputting, the most important thing for them to realize is anything you input into ChatGPT, OpenAI can see. So if you don't input confidential information, things that you don't want to get out there and to land up on your news channel, don't put in there because, listen, it's very unlikely that anything would be leaked. It's not like they're receiving billions of messages a day. It's not like their aim is to try to find your one message, but still, it's a responsible thing is not to enter that message. So that's the main concern around ChatGPT. In artificial intelligence in general, so for years, I actually created a board game that helps people learn through playing a board game about artificial intelligence. And for years, I've been saying the same message, but now it's just accelerated. It's what we started off talking about, is it's concerning for people that don't adapt. A lot of professions, and I know that there's certain professions more so than others, that have got the stigma of like, no, we've been a top profession for so long. Our work can never be replaced by AI. And they're very sticklers. Those are the type that are at the most danger. I really do believe that anyone who's in the workplace has to take time to think, where is AI moving? If you have to Google it, just Google it. If your employers have a learning and development department, help you understand, or if you're a manager, where are things moving? And then ask the question, okay, what does this mean for me? And how do I need to adapt? Because the reality is that AI can do so many tasks that people typically would do better, faster, cheaper, and that's just a recipe for people being disrupted in a big way.
It doesn't necessarily make people redundant, it just gives people more tools, in other words.
So if you embrace it, it can give you superpowers to do your work a lot better. So those who embrace it, you've got nothing to worry about. Those that fight against it and say, I'm not using it at all, maybe you need to start worrying.
Quickly, because we've run out of time, is there one specific industry where you think we're going to see mind-blowing changes within the next 5 to 10 years?
A lot of them, but I definitely think what's happening now is very much marketing and everything around that, everything around generation of media, videos, audio, everything. Right now, there's this wave of tools that is just going to disrupt it completely and shake it up on its head. You can produce things that before you would need literally hundreds of thousands of rands or million rands to do. You can do it for $20 now using not just ChatGPT, lots of these other tools. So I think that's somewhere to really look out for.
Is digital marketing as a career, do you think that's still something people should be studying if this is going to be so highly disrupted?
Yes, but in a different form.
In a different form. And
I think with any profession, and we don't have time to get into it, but with any profession, I do believe that the problem universities had before is that the degrees are longer than the lifespan of the careers now. You know, you learn something, I'm going to become a professional, learn for 4 or 5 years, and by the time you finish the 4 or 5 years, your careers become redundant. That's just going to accelerate now. So universities need to be actually very worried themselves because they've already been big time disrupted with ChatGPT, but there's a new wave coming and it's really, really accelerated over the last 3 months, and it's really a space to watch. Before the start of this year, I was saying to people, you need to adapt this, but you can be slow and steady and look. And I wasn't one of these like, oh, just shout, stand at the corner and say, look, you know, doomsday is coming. But since the beginning of the year, I just say to companies, if you're not starting to embrace this and learn about this, you're in trouble. And it's more positively, this is the biggest time right now. This is the year you can really change things and change things for good. And in our country, we need a lot of companies to be embracing this because we want that innovation to come back in our country, and we want to take things to the next level. And embracing AI will help people do that.
Absolutely. It's so interesting. Thank you so much. Innovation expert Dean Furman giving us some insights into the world of ChatGPT and how we can see the workplace being turned on its head.